where else we're spending. And that wasn't easy for the staff because it's the books, it's, all of the things that they're purchasing, it's the programming, the consultants, but everything is being reviewed with a fine-tooth comb. But when I came into the board, I had the knowledge from education, the background, like there's a saying, you don't get one time, you don't like bring on things that can eat. I've heard it said this way, right? Like in my own work, you don't bring in people or things that can eat with one-time funding, because what do you do when that one-time funding's gone?
Yeah,
and
you still gotta eat.
Right. And then like you're actually like talking about people, not things, or not investing in professional development, which we also did a lot of, which lasts, right? But I always said, you know what, the board before me chose to go beyond the district's advice and bring in even more staff, because staff, my understanding is staff at that time were saying, hey, we need help. Our kids are going through COVID. We're going through COVID. We have this money. We need help. It's all hands on deck. Yeah. We need more counselors, right? The ratio, we were at 250 to 1. We're now, I think, around 315 to 1. But I always say, you know what? As a community member, I supported it. It's like the staff wanted it, the kids needed it. Like we have the funding, right? I understand, and but then point fingers. You don't want responsible and respectful, and also always making sure that it's very clear moving forward. Like we were able to hire about 1/3 of those folks back on temp assignments, but my understanding, and it was very clear that HR was to make it very, very clear that these are temp contracts that are renewed maybe 1 year at a time, and folks should always be looking at other options, because you got to be honest with people if you need them to look at other options and not be selfish and want to hold on to them, right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair that, and you explained it, as well as you could, given you don't want to scapegoat people because you've been scapegoated, and I think that there's a lot of that pointing fingers and kind of trying to blame, and I attended at least one in person, and then saw others in person, and folks that had never really been involved in local politics all of a sudden had a big voice and wanted to point fingers and and crap on you and others, including Supervisor Sarmiento, and that were trying to figure out how to best address and fix this situation that, as you mentioned, one-time funds, but these are people with livelihoods and families that are now scrambling, and so we're left in a precarious situation. But
if I can add, Supervisor Sarmiento, I want to give him a little shout out, because I always say he was the one, I think, elected official that really showed up for us and tried to build a bridge and find real solutions. Mm-hmm. There were other folks who supported, Jesse Lopez, Benjamin Vasquez, but really just props to him for kind of trying to, speak a little bit of reason, right, publicly, because this issue, unfortunately, instead of it being about the staff who are being impacted, it got politicized by other folks, and weaponized, and more of a personal battle versus like, hey, how are we getting accurate information out to the staff so they know what their situation is? And so that was hard to watch. But props to Supervisor Sarmiento.
Yeah. Well, that's why you get paid the big bucks, to deal with, this the politics behind.
Yeah,
I
the
get
glamour
paid,
of it.
Little to nothing. Yeah, like this is not.
There are definitely days where you're like, the toll that you're taking on your own wellness, right?
No, it's largely a thankless job, and you're putting in a lot of hours and a lot of effort, and it's not like very well compensated. You have a full-time job, as also, yes, and then but you also you're mostly volunteering your time to talk to constituents, to do all this researching, and to and meeting with staff and superintendents to try to move all these things.
And I will say that the staff, when I would see folks at their school sites, things to advocate, but when I would see them on campus, they would share, just actually more gratitude and just say, hey, I know we come out, we got to advocate, but I see that you're asking the questions. I can tell, that you have your heart in this, like you care. Please just do what you can. And I had, lots of respect for those folks. And I told them, I'm a union member myself. If someone had called me and I wasn't at this dais, I would have come out either way, because you got to do what you got to do to, to try your best to save jobs. And you're going to stand with your brothers and sisters. But also at the same time, we have to have leadership that's balanced and have these conversations where folks are getting accurate information so that it's not going so far that we're also losing opportunities.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's hard to just deny the enrollment issue. Like, I think it's gone down like 45% in 25 years. It used to be 60,000 students in like 2020, and now it's 35,500. So I mean, the numbers are there. Like, I think you guys get funding based on enrollment largely. And just for anyone who's worried about like the federal cuts, because when Trump assumed office, he said he was threatening to cut the Department of Education. Can you speak to that a little bit? Like, should people be worried about that?
Yeah. So no, I don't want folks to be worried. I can't make any, I don't want to make any like grand sweeping statements.
Yeah.
But I know that last school year, it really caused a lot of fear. Folks were like, oh, great. Now does this mean there was talks about cutting Title I for our socioeconomically disadvantaged students, Title III for our English learners and newcomers. Very minimal to our budget, if any. And a lot of those things have been stalled. And they haven't cut like some of the things that they're saying they're going to cut. But at the same time, we had made that commitment to our staff that the federal budget, the federal monies that we get is actually fairly minimal compared to the rest of our budget. Yeah. And we made a commitment that those are areas that we are not going to cut. We are not going to let our English learners go without English language development supports, right? Like those are things we cannot ethically do. We are not overstaffed. And so we were not going to be, we were going to find ways within our budget to maintain that work. And if anything, with our goals in our district, we're increasing our work around supporting our English learners. And that's something we're really proud of.
That's good because, I guess it's only a few percent, maybe 5% of the SAUSD budget is federal funds, I believe. It's like really low. And I think when Trump cut it, he cut it 16% for that 2026. But like when you think about that, I mean, it is still actually hundreds of thousands or millions probably, but it's like in the grand scheme, you have I don't know how many $1 billion your budget is, but it's a big budget.
$750 million at this point. Yeah.
Okay.
I think in COVID, right, and it's come down, we had, more. So we're talking, so 5% or, wherever it lands exactly, it's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's not nothing, especially with these times. But we are having conversations about how do we get creative? How do we rely on our own infrastructure, our own resources to maintain, to enhance our programming? A lot of these attacks on public education, there's an effort to minimize what we're able to provide for our students. When we have schools with half the students now, right? Like, can we offer the same programs? And so, we are having those conversations. I am having those conversations. How do we ensure our programs are robust and our students are getting everything they deserve from our district?
There you go. Yeah. I did want to go back to a couple of other the kind of policies I think you've enacted in your term here that I thought we impacted. Was that not a thing?
Yes.
Before? Okay.
Oh, it wasn't before.
Okay.
So we, yes. So just recently, we finally got to onboard our 2 student board members.
Okay.
So that's something new. In my term, we've been able to, I advocated for, we were able to bring on, had really great support from my colleagues on the board. We just, onboarded 2 student board members. So, students will be bringing student voice to the decision-making table. They're already informing the way that we're looking at things and the way that we're implementing policies, which has been really exciting to see.
Well, that's it. So how does it work? Do they have like full voting power? Are they like a commission or like advisory or
Yeah, super interesting. So under state ed code, we learned that I don't believe they're able to have like the same voting, right? but they do vote. They vote before we vote. So first the student board members vote, and then the rest of the board votes. So their vote can't weigh in on our decision necessarily, like officially. But we do get to see like where the students leaning towards. It has major influence. I mean, if you have students on board, like who wants to vote against what the students just voted for, right? So I don't think, they have a lot of power.
Longer lunch.
Yeah.
It's like,
Pizza every day.
Pizza every day. We're like, woo!
Tamales. When I go to the classrooms, the kids, they do, number one, feedback I get is like the food requests. So from the littles,
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Not much has changed since when I was school.
But great ideas and how we're bringing information to our students around our immigrant support plan. Like their lens alone was just like game changing. And so that's just in like 2 meetings time. So we'll see. I know they're gonna bring a great addition.
Nice. That's pretty cool. And just another question, quick one on that. Did they have a student election? How did that work?
So it's a layered process. It had many steps. There was a whole like bulletin to the board on it. So they applied, and then at some point, other students, their peers, did blindly vote on them without knowing who was who, right? Without having their name on the application.
Okay. So it's like just they see their platform or something?
Essentially, like their answers to the question. Schools having the opportunity to put their name, students put their name in the hat and apply, and how do we select 2 from all, and we're still kind of having discussion on the board because there's some of us who want to have want more representation, maybe someone from every side. And so we're continuing to go back and forth, but we wanted to move it forward because it's been a few years in the making.
Make it happen.
Yeah,
Try
make it happen,
out,
and then
we can adjust
continue to adjust,
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's so awesome. And on top of that, you also started a program along with Diego, or helped to bring it to the district, right? It was called Save Votes, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So Diego Sarmiento and a group of youth reached out when I was new on the board and shared some statistics. So they provided a presentation for me. They shared statistics about their concern of how low the youth voter engagement was here in the city of Santa Ana, their ideas for addressing that. And so I worked with our superintendent to, again, like look at how can these youth are doing these amazing things in our city. How can we institutionalize this? They're asking to come into the spaces where they were actually mostly alumni at that time. So how do we allow them access to their home schools to do this amazing project that they want to do? And so we were able to look at like structurally, how do we do that and build on it? And so now they continued to advocate. They saw like where there were still barriers at some sites or where there was room to grow, and I continued to advocate alongside them. So now they're working with the chairs of, I think it may be the history departments. And so everybody is getting access in their classroom to information about voting and civic engagement. And then they're working kind of a train the trainer model where students are interested in getting involved and are passionate about this, can work with them, and then reach out to their peers on campus to register and do the pre-registration for 16 through 18 or 16 through 17. And they've registered thousands of youth. And I always share with them that I'm super proud to champion this alongside them. When I grew up, no one knocked on our door. And you wouldn't know it, right, in the amount of civic engagement work that I've done, but no one ever knocked on our door. And it wasn't until I was involved in civic engagement through community organizing that I tried to talk to my family members about voting. And they told me, I don't think I can vote because I'm systems impacted. And I said, did you know? So we looked into it, and the state laws had changed, and they were eligible to vote, but still no one ever knocked on our door. And so when I think about our families who are systems impacted or come from mixed status immigrant families, they may not be prioritized by, the typical politician.
Right.
I consider myself an elected official serving the community, right? So when they're registering a peer, I think about how they're also making sure that family's voice is no longer going to be ignored. And so it's this ripple effect that brings so much dignity to our families. And SAUSD has just been incredible partners for our district.
That's great. Yeah, it's a big problem that I believe, and we had Diego on the show, and he talked about, the impact or in the lack of youth involvement and, engagement in, the political process, and how, there's, a lot of work that can be done to, to have folks that are disenfranchised historically, people of color, and the ones that are most impacted by the policies of the folks that are elected on the local, state, and national level, to be empowered to take those decisions. And a lot of times, like I said, a mixed status folks. These are young people that once they turn 18, they are the only vote and voice on a particular topic when it comes to to the policies or the folks that are being elected, and they may or may not know the issues and where everybody stands. But and first step is just to let them know that voting matters, right? And then next step is to be able to figure out and develop a critical thinking lens for them to see who's standing with us and who is not on the issues that matter to me and my family, right? So I wanted to, because we're running out of time, but I couldn't. I wanted to also mention your work with the Sunburst Academy and just the work that. So these are at Promise, as we call them now, youth, right, that have had various situations, sometimes mix up with law enforcement or, caught up with the wrong crowd and such. But, just also people that are falling through the cracks, academically and in their schools and find this opportunity. It's there's this, entity that develops structure for students, that from morning to night. And I've been to the graduations and, I've been moved and tears in my eyes, just hearing, some of the testimonies from these youths, that share how much that program has changed their lives. And last thing I'll say is I personally essentially lead them into fighting senseless wars, that we are finding themselves in. But I have seen and do see, and me having been in ROTC myself when I was a kid, I just do see that the discipline and the structure and the mentorship that comes from these programs, not necessarily needing them to enlist, but just, creating the opportunity that allows many of these folks to graduate and have a future that wouldn't otherwise have it. So I'd love for you to speak about that program that you're so, intimately connected with.
Yeah. I actually I always tell my colleagues that are on the military side of the program, they run the residential piece and I work for the schoolhouse. We're the educational partner, OCDE. And I'm a pacifist. I almost didn't take it, and it was technically a promotion from my and I was like, wait a second, that's not the site But I always tell them that jokingly because they've been the best colleagues I've ever worked with. And what I've come to find is many of them, the reason why they're such great mentors for our youth and make such an impact is a lot of them joined the military because they were also looking for stability and a way out of whether it was poverty or whatever was going on at home and things like that. And so it wasn't necessarily a values-driven move. It was, unfortunately, there aren't a lot of residential programs like Sunburst for youth who need some more support and stability. And another thing I like to share is that our students come to us as young as 15. And so our rates for enlistment into military after Sunburst is similar to that of any other high school in California. And our goal is not to enlist them, it's to just help them get back on track so that they can graduate high school. They earn 65 credits in half the time, so it's a year's worth of credits in one semester. And that's the big draw why students come to us, because they are very serious about, okay, I need to get back on track if I want to graduate on time. And this is my opportunity for credit out of the day. Credits, and it's very admirable. And we do find, I'll give Sergeant Uribe a shout out. He always reminds me that in his time at the academy, he's a big supporter of our students from Santa Ana, and he always says some of the students who've come from the most difficult situations end up taking on the biggest leadership at our academy. And it's nothing can make you more proud than to see students have a chance to step into who they want to be and redefine their leadership and just giving them the opportunity to kind of remove themselves from any other responsibilities and pressures they may have.
Or bad influences.
And that too, yeah. And a lot of times our students say they just didn't know how to, it's hard. It's hard that everywhere they turn, there may be things going on and I tell our students, the fight you're fighting to maintain this when you go home, it's not a fair fight. Not all students have to navigate those things every day. And so like, just remember the tools that you earned here, you worked for, and that's a big piece, is how do we support our students with the transition. And that's part of what I get to do in my role, is work with our school districts, especially here locally in Orange County, including Santa Ana Unified, which has been like such a neat way for me to learn more about the supports needed for our students. Our support services team is incredible. I think they do the best job of helping our students transition back when they're ready to come back to the district. And that's our goal, that all students make their way back to the district, ready to graduate on time.
Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah, no, you hear all sorts of stories, and the resilience and just the arc from just really being at the lowest point in their life and not really seeing a way out to them, stepping into their power and being leaders of their fellow students and just seeing that there's another path, that it wasn't just how they saw it, that there's just other ways in which they can just be accountable to themselves, to their community, and to their colleagues, and thrive, and also learn all of these from all these amazing educators. So it's really awesome.
Yeah.
So the last thing is yeah. It's like, sure. All right, now we're getting into electoral part of this here tonight. So not for you to set you up to to talk badly on your colleagues and stuff, but they are not all cut from the same cloth, as it were, or better said, their priorities are vary, and in particular, you have new trustee Brenda Lepsack that at every meeting almost just bringing up various issues that at times are just uncomfortable, and at worst they're just divisive and hurtful to students and other folks. And so there's that's a real situation where Rigo was formerly there, but then there was situations that happened that allowed for somebody like Ms. Lepsack to be part of this, and we've seen a little bit of how disruptive that can be. And so God only knows what would happen if 2 or 3 or 4 folks were to be in positions of leadership, and seeing what happened in Orange. That is a legitimate threat. And so this time around, I mean, you won by
300 or so votes.
300 votes, and so these things sometimes get figured out by less than 100 votes. So every vote really matters, right? So this time, you and your colleague Hector Bustos are up for re-election and stuff. So how are you feeling going into election season? And do you feel confident that you have the volunteers, the support, and the trust from the community that voted you on the first time to vote you on it next time?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just last week had my campaign kickoff. Just say you were there, so thank you for coming for me, really, to just kind of soak in, to see all colleagues from over the years and friends and loved ones, and just see how much support I feel like I've built from just really investing my soul into this work as a community, and to hear, I'm on cloud 9 still.
There you go. That
was beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I'm on cloud 9, and maybe that was a week and a half ago now, but super excited. I feel really good. Folks have been asking, do you have any opponents? Probably won't know until closing period. A lot of times folks, that's what happened last time, file on the very last day in August. So you don't know, but I feel really good. I know that I've led this position with my values. I have, every time I've worked with a community member or a staff, constituent, it's my whole heart that I pour into relationships. It all comes down to relationships, and that's what it's about for me. So I have trust and faith that that those shared values will come out to the polls, or that we'll see it in how folks vote. But at the same time, I learned this last time. You can never take anything for granted, and not that I did, but I think I did hear from folks like, oh, you got it. We got it. Like, look, like at the situation, like it's very clear based on just your interview, right? And you got our endorsement, like you're the serious candidate. But that always made me uneasy. And then, sometimes people might not really realize all that we've done or who we are when they're making that tough decision and they're looking at 3 names, right? And so we have to work really, really hard to reach as many voters at their door as possible. And that takes a lot of community support and, a whole village to go out and do that. And so I never take that for granted. And it's an important part of the civic engagement process. Like, our community deserves to have us at their door sharing why we've earned their vote, why we want to work together, why we should work together, and ask for their trust. So I'm excited for it. It's a lot of work, but I think we have the community support and outpouring of really like love that is going to get us through this year and do the re-election. And more than for me, like as my, you work so hard, and obviously you want to be successful in an election, but to continue the work. But really, it's about the work. Like, that's what drove me to do this, to support other progressive candidates with shared values as well. Like, I want all of the seats in our communities across Orange County to reflect our values, that have people who are really going to take the time to hear from our students and our families and our staff, and have the heart to serve rather than it be about them as maybe a career move. So I'm feeling good.
Yeah, that's good. I do have to say I enjoy a lot of your endorsements. It seems like the progressive wing of our city council has endorsed you, and some other characters from the SAUSD, and our dear friend of the show, Vince Sarmiento, supervisor. So a lot of friends of the show and other progressive characters have got your back, and it's good.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
I gotta say, I was there a lot of campaign launches and stuff. Some better than others, or some better attended than others. But there's a lot that people can say about Katie or Katelyn, but they can't say that you don't care and that you don't have, and that's where, folks were really there showing you how much they care and about you and love you and are there for you because you were there for them when they needed somebody. So yeah, that's just really incredible. So yeah, she's like la güerita, that's always invited to the carne asada. That's how I describe Katelyn over the years, for sure. Yeah, and you speak fluent Spanish, right? So,
Claro que sí.
That helps. Yeah,
that helps. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, it's an honor to be able to serve our Spanish-speaking community and be able to connect. And I always share, like, it's a whole, you get to tap into a whole nother world when you know Spanish. Like, there's depths and levels of like culture and conversation that you sometimes you can't translate, right? And so it's been such a gift. But also I think people really appreciate it because in a way I think it symbolizes that, like, my effort to bring dignity to all of our communities that sometimes haven't always had someone that maybe looked like me, be able to or be willing to do that, right? And like, I'm trying to change that. And, we're equals, and I think language can do that and bring us together. And so thank you for acknowledging that. I always forget to mention that. And people are like, you have to like tell people that you speak Spanish too. So thank you.
That is a big deal, and not just like ¿Cómo está? Me gusta Taco Bell. You're full on have conversation.
I go into it intermittently without realizing at this point. I just go back and forth, and I love that. There's so much I get to connect with our community in another way, and
that's beautiful. Yeah, you do, and so that's that's remarkable. And yeah, allyship is not a transactional, situation for you. Like it has been something that you've been on the front lines, hand in hand, and really putting the community first. And so that's the kind of leadership that we need in this moment. From Latinos, but especially I would say from non-Latinos, from our white, compañeros y compañeras, that are able to, to get into spaces and places and to have, sometimes, things be heard that otherwise are ignored and lift up, the voices of the community. So, it's upon all of us to do that. So, yeah, I want to thank you very much for coming on to the show. Once again, if you could share just real quickly where folks can follow you or find out more information about your campaign and how to get involved and support.
Yeah, thank you. So folks can follow us on Instagram, Katelyn Brazer Aceves, and then check out our website, KatelynBrazer.com, to sign up to get involved, whether it's volunteering, donating. We'd love to connect, and then that would put folks on our listserv so that as we're having events, we can invite people out. I'm in the process of planning an event, a workout event, fundraiser.
There you go.
So
Nice.
bring folks to community. Together as a community, we're going to be getting sponsorships for our students. If I have to sponsor them, I'm going to do it. But we're going to come together and work out with some of our...
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Katelyn Brazer Aceves. You got the Aceves, you got the el compañero, your wonderful husband, right? Mm-hmm. So Fernando. Yeah, he also does a great work with the consulate here in Santana, Mexico. So yeah, just power couples. Woo!
There you go, yeah.
We had one not too long ago with Walter and Yesenia.
Fellow
Love the
endorsers.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I was joking with him the other day. I was like, "Hey, so what did your wife think about that? That you're the little spoon to her big spoon."
I heard you say that.
A similar situation with you and with el buddy Fernando. But no, it's just so refreshing to see, just mujeres, being supported by their husbands and not being like having an ego trip over it. And Walter's just, they're so awesome. So power couples.
Yes.
Our executive producer Yenny Diaz also,
Yeah.
my better half. I go to meetings and they're just like, where's your wife? Like, they don't care about me. They're just, just like, yeah, where's Yenny? She was like, I know, she's not here.
I love that. Yes.
Well, thank you once again for being on the show. We wish you all the best on your campaign.
Thank you. Yeah,
And
definitely.
I think, regardless that the work continues, and we know that you are here to stay, and you got so much more work to do here in the community.
You've been around as an organizer for a long time.
Yeah,
I'd like to see
staple in our
people
community.
grow into other leadership. So
Yeah. So
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the support. And it's like a full circle moment to come and hang with you guys and talk about our work throughout the years. And yeah, thank you.
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's happening.
Woo!
Yeah.
It happened.
There you go.
Yes, it is indeed happening again, y'all. So once again, It's Happening show, bringing y'all the people on the front lines of the issues that you care about here statewide and nationally. So yeah, there's all sorts of fun interviews that we have planned for the coming months. Yeah, this year is going to be a really
it's a doozy
intense year.
already.
It's already is.
Oy.
We are
Oy,
just
oy, oy.
it's just been really nonstop, and we literally should have a show every day, but here we are just having it as often as we can. But yeah, every time it's just an amazing powerhouse conversation with all sorts of issues and conversations that are crucial to the moment that we crucial man.
Yeah.
So I want to thank Edgar Silva, audio video engineer, Iron Lion Media. Yeah, we are here at It's Happening Studios.
Oh.
Yeah, part of the Grand Central Art Center. The views and opinions do not reflect
The bunker.
Grand Central Art Center or Cal State Fullerton. But yeah, we're here in the bunker, and it's been a real ride here. So we're happy to be here, and thank Yenny Diaz for executive producing and just being awesome. Always. But of course, my colleague and comrade and brother from another mother, Dylan Thompson. Yes, sir. We are here. 10 years and going.
Is it only 10?
It's only 10. It's just
Okay, working on it.
Yes, sir. So, you all stay cool out there. Y'all stay safe.
Try, yeah.
Find your inner peace. We shall.
Enjoy the
love
heat
will see us.
wave.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love will see us through, and a good air conditioning system too.
That'll be your quote.
That's right.
Yeah. Put
And-
that on a T-shirt.
That's right.
It's
right.
happening.
We'll put that on a T-shirt. So, from all of us here on It's Happening family, Dylan Thompson, Jose Gloria, and all of us and all of y'all, we are signing off.
It's happening.